What's going on? We are here for week number 21, OWL season number 3. All right, this is it. Last week before we get our July Jamboree. Yeah, we'll go with that. We get another tournament coming up pretty soon here. No hero pools this week. Last chance to set your records. We also have double tokens for watching this weekend. So if you want some extra tokens to fill out your a couple of heroes for a team you like, or if you want that Zarya Sinatra MVP skin, now's your chance. So got a really nice slate of games coming up this weekend. Things are going to just go crazy depending on if there's some upsets or whatnot, because we have a lot of teams jockeying for those top 4 spots in the NA and those top couple in the APAC region. So starting out in a couple of hours, we got Chengdu Hunters taking on the Guangzhou Charge. So Chengdu's been struggling lately. Guangzhou has been playing really well. A lot of people have them as the second strongest team in this region. I think it's really close. I would probably favor New York a little bit over them, but they're definitely up there. Eileen and Happy have been really good lately. We'll see if there's any kind of change. We did see a decent amount of Sombra being played, and she was, of course, out of rotation last couple of weeks. So we did see a lot of Sombra in the APAC region. So we'll see if that makes any kind of comeback. Same thing with the Echo. And also, of course, Brigida, as she is unbanned. But I think we're going to see some great stuff from these teams. I like the Charge here. The Hunters usually make it a little weird and chaotic against the Charge, but the Charge, I think they'll nail this one down pretty quickly. I'm going to say it's a 3-0. The Hunters have been looking, like I said, there's just some things off about them. I feel like their tank line has never really been that comfortable. They're just kind of doing their own thing. And their DPS duo has great moments, but sometimes there just isn't that space being created, and they just have ult issues sometimes. It just keeps popping up at the worst times for them. So I think Charge are a lot cleaner. I think that now that they've fully integrated Chara back in, he's had a good amount of games now. I think that they're in much better shape than we saw them like 4 or 5 weeks ago. So I'm going to take the Charge here, 3-0. Rough month for Chengdu for sure. A win here would be great for them, but I just don't think they get it. Then we get the rematch of the finals for the Melee. We got Seoul Dynasty taking on Shanghai Dragons. So I'm going to go with Shanghai here. Seoul continues to just absolutely mystify me at every possible moment. The amount of hardcore feeding that they've done, and then the amount of times where they've looked really good is it's just mind-boggling. It really is. Shanghai has been probably the second most consistent team all season in the OWL. I'd say probably Fusion are the only ones that have been more consistent. But Melee champ, looking great. Only 2 losses on the entire season. I don't see an upset here. It'll be interesting to see if they field a little bit of a couple of their bench players. We saw Gaguri a little bit against Chengdu, so that was cool. They did end up losing that map, but it was pretty close. So we'll see if Shanghai fields that roster at all for the first control map, or if they go with their starters all along. Lip has just been an absolute standout for me. He's played phenomenal. I think it's crazy to say, like, DM may just not really have too much of a spot here. Maybe like on Junkertown, they ran him on Junkertown last time. They did end up losing the map, but maybe like when you're more Widow specific, you still favor him a little bit. But when it comes to that Ashe, Lip's been playing amazing, and of course Fleta's been great. You can tell that he's really put in some work on the Tracer. His Tracer looks way better than he used to. I remember seeing him season 1 when he was on Soul playing the Tracer and thinking, oh boy, that's kind of rough. But he looks great now. I'm going to take Shanghai 3-0 because Seoul just gets 3-0'd most of the time. Hangzhou Spark taking on London Spitfire. So the Spark look much improved. They pulled off a great upset against New York. Bringing in Architect about a month ago. grabbing QOQ as well on the off-tank role. They've both been absolutely tremendous coming in. Also been playing Mika more instead of IDK. They've had IDK in for a few maps, but when they want that, it seems like when they want the Mercy play, that's when they're going to go for Mika more. And, he looked really good too. So all these new arrivals started to really slot in and look really good for Spark. They barely lost to the Charge. They nearly 3-0'd them, but then Charge came back and pulled off a crazy reverse sweep. That was a super fun game. And then, like I said, they did end up beating New York in a great matchup. So I think they're in really good shape. I think London puts up a solid fight here. They're really London is just like, they're not quite as good as the Spark. They're not quite as good as the Charge. They're not quite as good as New York. They're not quite as good as Dragons. They're more consistently good than the Hunters. So I think Spitfire put on a pretty solid show here. I still like a lot of the pieces on that team. You got to talk about Glister, J-Mac, Bernard, but I just think Spark are looking really good here, and they're going to hit their stride. They could be a sneaky pick to win the July. I'm gonna call it the July Jamboree for the APAC region. So, going into the NA games for tomorrow, we got Florida Mayhem taking on the Houston Outlaws. Houston coming off of a tremendous, potentially season-defining victory if they keep improving here against the Gladiators. Gladiators and Atlanta, you could say, are the gatekeepers now. Although I would say Atlanta are the true gatekeepers because the Gladiators sometimes beat really good teams and then lose to bad teams. Atlanta always beats up on the bad teams, but then always loses to the good teams. So either way, the Gladiators beating Gladiators is a great win. Houston looking at 6-10 now, so they got some catching up to do, but they are definitely not out of it yet. If they beat Florida here, they would put themselves in great position for the tournament coming up as well. Florida coming off of a tough loss to Valiant, but I felt like that was more Valiant just playing really, really well than Florida playing bad. So I still got to favor Florida in this matchup. But Houston was really good last week. They were super creative. They had great strategies. It feels like they're getting more and more comfortable with their like comfort picks in certain positions, and I don't see the four heroes being back having too much of an impact. So I think Houston could put up a real fight here. I will go with Florida in a close 3-1 in the end. For Houston, I gotta see another one. They've had a couple of moments this season and last season in particular where they beat really good teams, but then they can't put together good weeks in a row. And they're playing a Florida team which is stronger than the Gladiators. So I think it's going to be a tough one for them. I think they play well, but in the end, the Mayhem are just too good right now. Then we got Toronto Defiant trying to also bounce back, facing off against the Dallas Fuel. Dallas. Dallas looks like a complete mess. It's just suffered an absolutely embarrassing 3-0 loss to the Vancouver Titans, and it looked real bad. They benched Decay. The people that have been asking, well, is this team actually solid, or has Decay just been carrying them all their victories? I think we got our answer. Decay's been carrying them to all their victories. So if Decay plays, I got Dallas winning 3-1. If he doesn't play, I got Toronto winning 3-1. It has to be so frustrating as a Dallas fan to have a team with a bunch of potential just completely fall short of it. 4-8 record on the season. That's just terrible. It's not going to get it done. So they had some good moments, but they've lost 5 of 6 games now. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with them? It just doesn't really... It felt like it just really has never come together. I don't know why they picked up Paintbrush to put him in. I feel like that's thrown them off a little bit too. I didn't feel like Closer was playing that bad, or honestly Harry Hook when they had him in. So I feel like Crimzo, when he's not on Moira, has struggled a bit as well. The tank line's okay, but they're not carrying any matches, so... It's bad. And Toronto's looking pretty rough too, but like I said, if they run Decay and Doha, or if they run Decay and Onigat, I think the Fuel will win this because they're just better. But if they run Doha and Onigat again, Defiant could definitely take this match. So, we'll see. 2 struggling teams. Maybe we see actual improvement for one of them and they can take it into the melee. But if they don't, they might be looking at a very, very early exit from our tourney. Next, we got Vancouver Titans taking on Boston Uprising. Two teams that need every win that they can get. Boston, the story of them has been they're playing teams pretty well now, but they just can't win. Vancouver, like I said, they got that first victory against Dallas last week. So they're going to have some momentum. They're going to be playing a little bit more loose. I think they're going to be more dangerous now. I think Boston has been playing better Overwatch, though, for about the last month. I like the close matchups against Paris. Are they a great team now? No. Are they a lot better than they were when they were getting 0-3'd by everybody and they weren't even like winning team fights for some maps? Yes, I think they're much improved over that. So I think this is a pick 'em. I'm just a little more confident in Boston now. 2 wins in a row for Vancouver. But if the Titans win this matchup, they're sitting at 4-7. That's not horrible. Like, there are a lot of teams. Like, I mean, Toronto's sitting at 5-10. They might even be 5-11 now. It's not good. Dallas is 4-8. So, I mean, Atlanta's sitting at right about 500, and they're the number 12 spot right now. Or no, they're the 11. Gladiators are 12 because they lost. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that Vancouver could find themselves pretty close to that 12 spot if they string together another win or two. So something to watch out for sure. But like I said, in the end, I'm going to go with Boston. I'll say 3-2. I think this one's very back and forth. And we got Washington, who just cannot win a map, against the Gladiators, who just cannot win 2 series in a row. I got Gladiators here. Last time these guys played, Gladiators won easily. I still think that they're a solid team, even though they're not as good as they should be. I think they're going to look better because, Kevster is going to be in his second match now with the team. He'll have a lot more time to have scrim, so I think that is an instant boost for them. This team could be so scary. Washington's a complete mess. I really think Washington's playing the worst Overwatch in the league right now. They definitely don't have the least talented roster. I think they have more talent than Boston, than Vancouver, probably Toronto, maybe Houston. I think I think you could make an argument they have more talent than Dallas, but just hasn't come together yet. I don't see it coming together now. Maybe they'll make a solid run towards the very end of the season, but for right now, even though the Gladiators have struggled with the Arisa Sigma comp a bit, I think that they can either just run Reinhardt with the Cloudy and win, or they can go double shields and win because Justice are just that bad right now. Take Gladiators 3-0. Going back to Sunday, Shanghai Dragons, Hangzhou Spark. I think we get a great matchup here. I got Shanghai, though, for all the reasons I talked about earlier. They've been so good. I mean, what can you say about them? I think that they're going to lock up the number 1 seed by taking down the Spark here in a 3-1 matchup. Next, we got Hunters and Seoul. So this is an interesting one. I'm going to go with the Dynasty here. Every time I pick the Hunters, they lose. So I'm going to just say Seoul 3-0 here. I think they look good. Maybe they put it all together. I don't know. Maybe the Hunters are 3-0 them. But I'm going to go with the Dynasty here. 2 very unreliable teams. Seoul have just won more in general and have actually looked good for more parts of the season than the Hunters have. So, go Dynasty, 3-0. Then, New York Excel take on the Charge. So, this is an interesting one. New York, we saw a lot of Nene. Double hit scan meta, so they ran Sabiolbi and Nene. And I thought that they were real good. Hotba is really solid. Mono is still an amazing player. He's a role star last year. And then, the backline, of course, is great as well. Don't have to talk about the Season 1 MVP Jonak. I feel like New York is getting slept on. So I'm going to take them in a 3-2. I really like how both of these teams are playing right now. But, man, having Haxall now, I think that with no hero pools, New York is just going to be able to throw an absolute ton of looks at Guangzhou. And the Charge's DPS, they've been running just Eileen and Happy. They're really good. Happy can just absolutely carry matches. Eileen has a couple of great niche picks. But I think New York has way more versatility throughout their lineup, and they'll win a close one. I'll say 3-2. Then we got LA Valiant looking absolutely great. A huge quality win against Florida. Taking on Paris, who are coming off of a awful loss where they just got absolutely spawn camped by San Francisco. It is San Francisco, but a lot of us were expecting a very competitive match. I thought San Francisco would win a very close one. It was not close by any stretch of the imagination. We'll see if Paris starts to actually get better comps out there. Looks like they were just trying to play Sparkle's good heroes last week, which just, yeah, you can make it work barely against Boston, but against a team that's as good as the Shock, who runs meta, you're not gonna win that. Like they lost a map against Shock when they ran Super on Sig. Super's just not a very good Sigma, at least Overwatch League wise. He can play it in ranked fine, but in terms of OWL, come on, Choyobin is a million times better. But they still lost that map, and then they just got obliterated maps 2 and 3. So looking kind of rough for Paris. I think Valiant win this pretty easily. I'll say 3-1. Maybe Paris will be smarter about it now and play Sparkle maybe on a couple of less maps. Maybe just play him on the maps where his niche heroes are better. Or maybe they just want more practice time, before the tournament, and they'll just have him play on every map again. I don't know. Either way, I think the Valiant are just a better team. You gotta say that either Shax or Dante is the best Western Tracer player. Those two are definitely at the top right now. Shax has just been cranking out insane performances. If they're on the double hit scan, KSP has been awesome. He is such a good aimer. I feel like his positioning has improved a lot this season as well. They still got KSP waiting in the wings too to come in. So Valiant are absolutely playing great right now. I think Rain and Lastro are super underrated as a support duo. They've been just rock solid for this team. So I think Valiant keep rising here. They're best team in LA, top 3 team in NA. It looks like right now. So yeah, Valiant fans, you got a lot to be excited about. Next we got Vancouver Titans back in action, taking on Atlanta Reign. Again, Reign are really good against the lower tier teams. I think Atlanta gets this one done in 3. Vancouver just isn't quite ready to beat Atlanta yet. I don't think, even though they got that first win, they're definitely not in that upper tier of teams. So while this one, I think it was going to be pretty close, I don't see an absolute blowout happening. Atlanta's definitely taking this one. And then, of course, Philadelphia Fusion, San Francisco Shock. Oh, it's going to be tremendous. I'm going to go with the Shock here. Philly have been more consistent this season. Like I said, Shock lost a couple of games earlier on, but the Shock have looked so good lately. I mean, the meta just works out so well for them. Smurf has got to be the best Orisa in the game, I would say. Choyobin is arguably the best Sigma in the game. Ons is he's KSP type for me in terms of just being nuts at aiming. And then of course, if you're playing Tracer, you got Striker, who's, I call him the second best Tracer in the world. I still think Sabielby's a little better, but you can make a really legitimate argument that he is the best Tracer in the world. He's definitely in the top couple. And then the support line, Moth has been nuts. If they want to do, if we go back to like a double off support, they got freaking Violet and Twilight. Like, are you kidding me? That's just disgustingly good. So, while Philly is great, I think they put up a really solid fight. I'm going to take San Francisco in this one 3-1. Definitely a match to watch out for there. But like I said, I think we got a ton of great ones. I think we could have a lot of compelling matches this week. A lot of interesting storylines. Like I said, that like 4 to 8 range is up for grabs in the NA region. We could see some teams surprise in a region where all of the higher seeded teams won in the Melee. I think we might get a little bit of shakeup this time around. Maybe I'm wrong. Summer Showdown, that's what they're calling it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the Summer Showdown is going to be super entertaining this this time out. I loved the Melee, so hopefully we got a bunch of viewers this weekend because, you know, double tokens, no hero pools, so should have a lot of fun Overwatch. As always, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have yourselves a fantastic day. Comment anything you want to down below, and I'll see you in the next one.